I'm just gonna stomp you. You're gonna keep coming back. I'm gonna seal up all my cracks. You're gonna keep coming back. Why? Because you keep smelling the syrup. You worthless bitch ass nigga. You're gonna stay on my dick until you die. You serve no purpose in life. Your purpose in life is to be in my stream sucking on my dick daily. Your purpose in life is to be in that chat blowing a dick daily. Your life is nothing. You serve zero purpose. You should kill yourself now and give somebody else a piece of that oxygen and ozone layer that's covered up so that we can breathe inside this blue trap bubble. Because what are you here for? To worship me? Kill yourself. I mean that with 100%, with 1,000%.
We made it through all of it, the last one.
Yeah, we had to cut off though. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Large Lads, episode 24. Less of a hiatus this time. We took what, a week or two off?
It was 2 weeks.
All right, it's pretty good for me.
The usual hiatus.
They're slowly coming in because there was a month or two that I took off there, but we're getting back into it.
We're back.
Hey, potential bench PR today if everything goes well. Double PR if it doesn't.
Yep.
So that's what my game plan is today. You got anything interesting coming up?
I'm starting in my new block.
With what goal?
10 weeks to 880.
Uh-huh.
And then if that moves, 10 weeks to 900.
Which would be pretty crazy.
That's pretty strong.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
Do you think we'll start delving together again soon, or just like two different bars?
Well, I'm going to be on the stiff bar for the first 4 weeks.
Oh shit! Okay.
So maybe I'll have to think about it.
Yeah, I was looking
our
back.
sessions are looking more similar than they used to because now I'm also doing my my RDLs after deadlifts rather than on squat day, the same way you have them.
Yep.
I start with some light squats, but that's pretty quick. Like you do enough general warming up, I could just go out to the garage like 20 minutes before you. Pretty similar. And then I'm going to be moving some of your back assistance work to your Saturday session. I mean, by some, I mean all.
Yeah.
So you'll free up a little bit of time. So maybe I'll have you join me. I've been doing a lot of those GHD back extensions because I think those supplement the RDLs. They're kind of the same movement pattern. It's just a hinge, right? But like
a little bit less back.
Well, it's more glutes, right? Because if you do them off the GHD, peak resistance is when you're parallel with the floor, so you're squeezing your glutes through.
Yeah.
Whereas peak resistance on the RDLs is the bottom. So it's kind of like, it's a different like parts of the hinge. And I think some people who really like speed through their deadlifts don't really develop a ton of strength in that flex glute position. I think maybe the habit of actively flexing your glutes on submaximal reps can avoid that. Like Brownlee was posting like what fixed his lockout was just being more aggressive about flexing his glutes on reps where he didn't need to, kept his glutes strong, and that fixed his lockout. I also think things like maybe a hip thrust, but I prefer a GHD back extension or a heavy kettlebell swing. Also kind of fill in that gap, developmental gap really well. Yeah. So maybe I'll have you join me on those.
Yeah, I just noticed like one of my best deadlift blocks was when we were training together, and I was like, I think there probably is some merit to just like. It definitely makes me push on the stuff that's like the small stuff.
Yeah, maybe a little
more.
too hard though. Like we really kind of fucked up your bench.
Yeah,
me and Max were doing squats and deadlifts together, and it just kind of became like do as much as we can, as hard as we can, to where Max didn't have enough. I also didn't have enough energy to really dedicate to my upper days. Instead of working really hard together, but smart, working hard became the goal. Which there's times where that's really good, but we're also at the level where that's not all the time.
Yeah.
So you need to be a little bit more deliberate about what do I need to do to be ready for next week, not what's the most I can do on everything.
I guess, my hope was that like I run my squat days solo. I think I've got a pretty good tap for like the amount that I need to do to get to a squat PR. And then on deadlifts, I just like, I don't know, I think my serious string of like weird tweaks I think might have like maybe start pushing less hard than I should have. And I think I might gain some benefit from just like meathead pushing stuff hard.
Yeah.
Until I like kind of regain that semblance of like I need to put X work in order to like.
For sure. Well, I think that'll be a big thing is just establishing like landmark RDL numbers.
Yeah.
That's big, right? But they're behind right now where it's just like, okay, well, we just need to get those better. We don't have landmarks, right? Where it's like the same thing as we'll find landmark sets on the belt squat, where it's like, I don't need you to do fucking 700 for 10.
Yeah.
I need you to do 600 for 10, and that's good enough. And that good enough saves us energy because you're not just a squat specialist. Like, yeah, sure, people would argue, but what if you could do the 700 for 10?
Yeah.
And it's like, if we were maximizing our squat, right? We were min-maxing our training, and you were trying to hit the biggest squat you could, then yeah, we'd fill all that up.
Yeah.
But we need to save some training resources to also be a good bench presser and a good deadlifter,
Yeah.
which is kind of the nature of the sport.
Yeah.
Right? Which is like, like I talk about on the channel, like just fucking throwing the kitchen sink at stuff works. It's like, if you just think of everything that might tangentially help your bench press, and then you do them all, your bench press will go up. Like, well, wrist curls and wrist extensions will increase my stability, and then this curl is most specific to my bench press, and then antagonistic, and this, and this, and this, and this. It's like, because you're not trained in any other qualities, you could fit that all into a week, and your bench is gonna fucking go up.
And then you start running out of time to do anything else.
Exactly, and that's like, people are like, I've got benching figured out. It's like, well, you kind of have it figured out, but that's because you're doing everything. Like, there's a bunch of things in there that are not yielding much returns. You know what I mean? Like, really having it figured out is understanding what's the least you could do and then choosing to do more. So it's like when I've leaned into my deadlift, I understand what the least I can do so I can focus on like holistic development, but I also know I can, when I focus on it, I can shoot it up more because I have a better a lot of my deadlift progress has just come down to understanding better all of the parts of deadlift training and then allocating more resources to them. But that's kind of first and foremost is understanding it, like running like an exploratory phase to where I really kind of understood what brings my deadlift up. What are like the points of what, like I in my head I call it like areas of physicality. Like, what are the areas of physicality of a good deadlifter, right? Like, you've got your specific training that's most important potentially. I guess it depends on where you're at in your career.
Yep.
Then you have your points of physicality, which is upper back, core, posterior chain, and general leg power.
Yep.
4, pretty simple. Spread those across the week. Maybe twice a week if one's weak. Right now I'm doing twice a week for all of them, and that's why my deadlift is shooting up so much, because I'm doing every part of the physicality twice.
I think that's one of the things with like when you talk about like the benefits of being like a specialist. We're like, oh, he's only benching 3 or 4 days a week, but it's like, he's doing so much more that he wouldn't be able to recover if he was also doing heavy and squats and deadlifts.
There's not the training economy.
Yeah, there's just like not enough time and or like the ability to recover. But I was thinking like I think on my squat I got like a pretty good gauge with like the amount of work that I need to put in to get a 5 to 10 pound PR.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I'll miss on that.
Yeah.
But like generally I think we've got a pretty good gauge on like what we need to do to
What needs to be done on the specific work and also the physicality side.
And so that's a little bit of like a what's the least I can do to get to a PR, because it's like if I went buck wild, my bench doesn't go up.
Yep.
So it's like put in the amount of work to get to a 5 to 10 PR and leave enough for my bench, which is usually my weakest lift.
And we've kind of figured
progressing.
out, we've got a better feel for what needs to be done on the bench press. You know what I mean? Like, we've got some core indicator lifts that address like areas of physicality for the bench press, right? Triceps, shoulders, chest, upper back.
Yeah.
Right? Upper back probably being like, I talked to Freaky D, we did a little podcast the other week, and he was like, he thinks upper back is overrated. And I was like, I agree it's overrated, but it matters.
Yeah.
And he was like, I just mean that like, once it's good enough, getting it any more developed doesn't do anything. But getting to good enough does something.
Yeah.
Because more development does kind of lead to people being better at controlling their scaps, which is important. But then more tricep strength is always better.
Yeah.
More chest strength is always better. More shoulder strength, less than those first two, still always better. Whereas, you're not getting much better at a certain point, just getting your upper back stronger and stronger if those other things aren't coming up.
Yeah, I think the issue with my deadlift is like the amount of work I'm putting in is less than the minimum required. It's like there's some like utility in just like building up the most that I can do in the amount of work I'm doing, and then from there it's a lot easier to dial back.
When you've got a gap in one of those major areas of physicality,
Which I definitely do.
right? Your specific training is hampered,
Yeah.
right? Where it's like your general leg power through the roof, not a problem. Upper back was a weakness in the past. We did a really good job kind of figuring out how to fix that. Recently, we've brought up the core to where I don't think it's a lagging thing anymore. Posterior chain is behind.
Yeah.
So then the specific training is kind of hit or miss and it's spotty. Whereas the specific training tends to be very kind of linearly predictable based on how much you do when you're a well-rounded deadlifter. Like some of the people I coach in person, it's really interesting to see. Like obviously everybody I coach that's like really strong is pretty well-rounded. That's why they're really strong. Like you and Jasper and Justin don't have big gaps in your physicality.
Yeah.
Right? Because you've been working on it forever and you take all the parts of your training seriously and you lean into stuff that doesn't come to you naturally, blah, blah, blah. Right? but it's like seeing like Nicole, right? Is like the reason her specific work isn't as predictable is because there are just glaring gaps in her physicality. Like her upper back just is not up to par.
Yeah.
And it's like it's almost more important in the short term to bring up that upper back development than it is actually to do the specific deadlifting, because that's going to lead to like more predictable stuff down the line. This is boring. So let me tell you about why the fucking Olympics is whack. Right?
Sam and I I've been watching the Olympics some amount.
Yeah.
I would say we're both like vague general sports fans of like we keep up to date. If we see something that's moderately interesting, we'll be like, oh,
Yeah.
I learned about this random sport I didn't know about.
Yeah.
We're certainly not experts in anything, so if you know about one of the sports we're about to go over more than us, let us know in the comment section.
Absolutely. If you actually know something about one of these, clue us in if we're off base.
And I'm gonna hop in first with a spicy take. Greco-Roman wrestling seems super lame. Freestyle is just cooler, from what I know. Restricting the rules to make it less cool. They seem to be winning on lame points.
It does. Yeah, I mean, it's still like I'm sure it's unbelievably like wrestling. They try to make those charts of like most difficult sports across different areas.
Yeah.
Wrestling always charts towards the top. We all agree, like it's generally agreed upon. That's one of the best things you can have a child do to improve their overall coordination, athleticism. For future sports endeavors. I think it's like gymnastics and wrestling are just like wicked for like just proprioceptive awareness, mental toughness. That's kind of shown in a bunch of sports. A wrestling base is wicked.
Yeah.
But I tend to agree. If you compare it to freestyle, I would think that the less restricted rules is cooler. I think that I would apply that to most things. But I probably what makes me think we're probably wrong.
Okay.
I like boxing. Boxing is heavily restricted striking. But you have to respect it for what it is. You know what I mean? It's just like, if we were to be I love boxing. If we're objective, this is literally just the Greco-Roman of kickboxing. Like just taking away your lower body.
Yeah, no, I think...
You know what I mean? But I guess that more I should be shitting on boxing then. Just to be like logically consistent.
Yeah.
Little fun fact for you.
Okay.
There's a good argument to be made. It should be based on the size of the sport, and there's a bunch of other whack shit in the Olympics now.
Okay.
MMA should be in the Olympics.
Okay.
And there's historical precedent for it.
Okay.
Because they had pancrase in the original Olympics back in like 700 BC in Athens, which is a combination of wrestling and boxing. By definition, they had MMA in the original Olympics.
Yeah, there was no 12 to 9 immoral elbow or 12 to 6 elbows.
12 to 9.
The evil elbows.
They're getting rid of that rule, though. You know that?
I did not.
Yeah. 12 to 6 elbows are going to be legal.
Oh, yeah. I feel like that was like, I'm not educated in really any sport other than lifting weights. But I was like, I don't know. The restricted rules do just like catch my eye. Just like, I think it's cooler.
Yeah, but that probably applies to anything.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
sure.
Like, there's a lot of arbitrary restrictions. Honestly, if we're like saying like, oh, this is like a combat sport, everything in the Olympics is a heavily even freestyle.
Yeah.
Right. Well, punch him. But no, I don't know. I wish I got to wrestle, so I hold it in like particularly high regard.
Yeah.
But from what I can see, freestyle's way cooler.
Okay.
I don't disagree with you. I think someone's gonna get mad at me. Also,
make a pitch for Greco-Roman.
Hey, shut the fuck. You like that heater of an intro? I'm back. Dude, Olympic weightlifting getting dropped, but fucking breakdancing is in the Olympics.
Yeah, so I watched the men's breakdancing final. And I've got some thoughts for you.
I was flabbergasted when I saw that pop up in my feed that breakdancing is in the Olympics after all of these like classical sports are threatened to be dropped.
Yeah.
Like they were threatening, I want to say they were threatening boxing at one point. Again, OG Olympic event.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Rampantly corrupt, which is really frustrating to watch.
Yeah.
But like it's a known thing. Anybody that follows boxing knows that like Olympic boxing in general wicked corrupt. Olympic boxing gnarly. It's like a passing. It's like a rite of passage for an up and coming, like someone who's going to be an all-time great pro to be robbed at the Olympics like Roy Jones was.
Taekwondo's was up for like consideration to be dropped again. I learned a little bit about Taekwondo.
If one of you knows, correct. I'm like, fuck you guys, don't correct me. Correct us if we're wrong.
Yeah, tell us about Greco-Roman if it's actually super lame or not.
Yeah, if one of you's like, dude, you guys are actually dumb as bricks, it's significantly harder, and we just don't know what we're looking at, let us know. I'm open to that idea.
Okay, so in a video that I watched, I was told that there was 3 eras of.
Is jiu-jitsu isn't in the Olympics, is it?
I think it is.
It is.
I believe so.
Really?
I'm pretty sure it is.
I'm surprised because they are just trying to go with like more popular sports, and jiu-jitsu is quite popular.
Maybe I'm not. No, I'm thinking of judo.
Oh, judo's sick though.
Yeah.
The Seika guys like judo. Oh, judo's sick. Judo's sick as fuck. Speaking of things I want to do once I'm kind of done pushing for maximal strength numbers,
Okay.
judo seems so cool.
Okay.
I'm gonna start like, I'm not gonna lie, the whole burnout on strength sports and start jiu-jitsu trend, kind of cringe.
Judo.
Yeah, the powerlifting to jiu-jitsu pipeline, whack and cringe. I'm the powerlifting to judo pipeline. Based
I've not seen anyone do that.
the Seika guys do a little bit of judo, I think.
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah. Obviously they're not power, it's strength sport to judo. Like we're starting. That's gonna be sick. Just throw people. That's way cooler than pulling guard.
So I think it was the power era was the OG era in Taekwondo.
Okay.
Where it's like just people like legitimately trying to knock each other out, like turbo.
Okay, so cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Badass.
And then there was like an issue for like health and safety, I think.
Sure. Yeah.
And so it was like there was more like definitive blows, and so I think that was the combo era where people were just like truly spazzing, trying to land like 15 things to like have like definitive blows count.
Yep.
And then again, I think that's when their like bid for the Olympics went up, and so they changed it to there is a pad on your chest and head that is electronic that will give you a point if there's a blow.
So kind of like fencing, like.
Yeah, it's 1 point to the body, 3 points to the head.
Okay.
And that is now the cut kick era, which is people are just not kicking hard because you know if you get a grazing blow on the head, and so everyone just stands on 1 foot and tries to go for cut kicks to the head because it's like, obviously the most point beneficial thing.
Yep.
And there's like, from what I know, a large critique of that is just that like it's not really a combat sport if you're both just like one.
Yeah, but that's
leaning
true.
back.
But that's true of all. Like that is the problem, though. Like I, you know, it's not everything being like compared to like a street fight is dumb. It's a sport. You know, like the same thing with like boxing. People are like, that's in a street fight. I would just kick you in the dick, and it's like that's awesome, super cool. That's not what we're doing here.
I'd pull your hair. I'd gag you. Krav Maga. I'd fucking go for the eyes.
It's like it was always a self-report too. It's like I would pull a gun. You're a pussy, first of all.
It's very funny. There is a joke that Taekwondo is now leg fencing. There's like a whole thing is just called.
I mean that makes sense. It's you know you got the sensors. You're scoring points. That makes sense.
Yeah, I think
especially with like safety considerations being kind of emphasized at the Olympics. Or like they were at one point like if you just threw a haymaker in boxing, like you would get a warning.
Oh,
You like punch too hard. It's been kind of dubious with like the rule set, but in like certain like areas of amateur boxing, there is like you're supposed to point fight. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like it's like
I think I've always heard that about like.
which crazy that Deontay Wilder got a bronze medal by the way.
Yeah.
Also, terrible look for Taekwondo. I'm sure this is disingenuous. Oh my god, that Despain guy in the UFC looking just wonky.
Oh yeah.
Like an Olympic gold medalist.
Well, that was the other thing is that it's because of cut kicking. It's leaning towards people being taller and taller.
Yep.
Because it's so much easier to cut kick if you're taller.
For sure.
But I don't know if they were in for this Olympic cycle or not, but there was a bunch of revised rules that like you can only be standing on 1 foot for like 3 seconds or whatever.
Okay.
And so they're like trying to now make it slightly less like solely cut kicky. I feel like it's just like you have to kind of redefine the rules because it's like they can't really go back to the power era, even though that is the coolest.
Yeah,
name
it's
I've
interesting
ever
that
heard.
it's been like changing around, right? It's like kind of the same thing with like, you know, what does combat karate look like through time?
Yeah.
It's kind of like they're still kind of figuring it out. You know what I mean? Which is interesting. I think looking at young sports where you can watch the meta change is so much fun. Like, you know, powerlifting, like the fact that technique looks so different than it used to.
Yeah, like 5
like the
years
Seika
ago.
guys were posting about that, right? About how like you just used to see that remnant queuing of equipped eras where like all squats were wider stance, all squats were like very vertical shit as a cue, and you could see it. And it's like nowadays you see so many guys with like a lot of forward knee displacement, right? And it's like total shift in the meta.
Yeah.
Whereas you see like really established sports, right, where it's like, okay, we've kind of honed in on the technique with the highest ceiling, and then we've just been sharpening that to a point, right? It's like you're not really seeing innovation in the high jump. You're not seeing innovation in like the shot put. It's people sharpening. You know?
Hey, there kind of is. Ryan Krezer has his three step.
Oh.
Where he's like stepping into it now. I don't know if that's actually like any meaningful innovation. But it is a slight deviation from the traditional rotational throw, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's I think both are interesting, right? Like weightlifting, right? Like countries have like, I would say, you know, weightlifting countries have slight deviances in their technical models, but we kind of got an idea for it.
Yeah.
Strongman still very much in its infant state, especially because new things become popular.
Yeah.
So you'll just see someone do something different.
I also feel like that's partially like the nature of strongman, where it's like
It's
an
trying-
event can come into more
Trying
of
to
a,
stay novel, you
Yeah.
know, like that is the interesting thing about it, is to almost like try to stay in its infant state by like it's kind of like CrossFit, right? Where if you want to test general fitness, you can't keep it like people's training will get more and more specific if it's consistent, so you have to vary it to keep it a more general proxy.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas like a lot of people are pushing for strongman higher standardization, which is fine with me as well. I really don't. I'm impartial.
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna train my pushes and my pulls and my squats and my like pull-ups and whatever events I'm asked to do, I will do those as well.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to see people pushing for like, no, I want like heavy standardization so I can specialize my training.
Yeah.
Versus like, no, I want it to stay novel. So
Yeah.
we all get a new project 10 weeks out. Like we all agree there's drawbacks to learning events day of, all events day of. I think mystery events are cool. If the meet promoter is smart. But like there's certain things it's just like, okay, cool, it's a mystery bag toss. No one's gonna get hurt. That's awesome. That's cool. That rewards people who do kind of keep their training more general and try to be well-rounded. But I do think it's fun to be like, hey, we all have a 10-week project. Who gets the furthest in their 10-week project? Like, so who can problem solve the fastest?
Yeah.
But also whose off-season was more well-rounded to be prepared for like whatever comes up 10 weeks out.
Yeah.
So it's like I do like that varied aspect of it, you know, where it's like it is just a 10-week homework project of like who figures this shit out and whose off season was smart enough to cover their bases.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on like some amount, like it's not like a full mystery event, but being like, this is a pressing thing for reps.
I like
and you
that.
find out the implement on the day.
Implement, I don't mind. I don't like I said, I'll do whatever. You know, like I just like. If anything, that is my great benefit. Is I just like strength training.
Yeah.
So it's like that's gonna be fun for me because I can keep my background strength training and touch up a couple of different events.
Yeah.
Like highly specific training is what I'm working on enjoying more. I was gonna say what I don't like.
Yeah.
That's probably not the language I should use.
Yeah.
That's the part I'm still buying into. I love my yoke training now, so I finally like made a little bit of progress there. I don't mind that, but I really don't mind like what they're doing with like the shot. They're like, yo, it's gonna be somewhere between like fucking 750 and 850 on the squat.
Yeah.
Just be in good squat shape.
Yeah.
The best squatter will win. I like that a lot. Or like, hey, we don't know, it's gonna be a max or a log for reps. Especially if you tell me it's a log.
Yeah.
Just be good at log.
Oh,
I love that training where it's like, okay, well, you know, you'll see guys, they'll work up to like, a lot of the guys were working up to like a top single and then doing an endurance back off set. So they're touching on like maximal strength and rep endurance.
Yeah.
Right? That would be great. If you told me like, hey, Sam, you're going to find out on the day what it is on the log, you need to train for maximal strength and repetition strength at the same time. That sounds like a lot of fun. You know, that's cool to me.
You know, watching the Olympics, you know, I'm a real casual Olympic weightlifting fan. I.e., I
The
watch,
most casual,
I
yeah.
watch a weightlifting house in a Sika
You know
video
who's,
occasionally.
You know, it's funny that neither of us are the actual most devout weightlifting fan in our own household.
Kirsten!
Kirst likes weightlifting.
Yeah, so I would say
She can do a pretty good snatch. Been training, got a bar and everything.
extremely casual weightlifting fan, I would say. Borderline not a fan.
Okay.
I just don't know enough to genuinely call myself
For
a
sure.
fan. But like, I like to be like, oh, that's cool. How's Lasha doing? But upon watching like weightlifting casually, it is crazy.
Dude, I hope Tank does good.
Oh,
Tank is such a Chad.
dude, Murakami, is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, fuck, dude, I'm praying. Upon watching weightlifting, my thought is always like, if powerlifting was in the Olympics and had been for the same amount of time as weightlifting,
Where would we be at?
I assume the top end would be way higher. But I think the biggest gap is, oh my god, I bet the junior and sub-junior records would be astronomically better.
For sure.
All of the weightlifting records are like crazy. Well, you'll see like this, like, oh my god, this guy's like a turbo prodigy. He's number 7 all time in the juniors. And it's like, holy shit. God, weightlifting has been good for so long, and people have just been getting good for so long. And obviously there was
What are you getting at? I'm sorry, I'm not following.
Oh, I'm just saying-
this is not your fault. It's my fault. Everybody watching is probably like, that was the simplest shit ever.
I'm saying I think the structure of weightlifting and the amount of countries investing in it, right, has led to obviously like actual children doing the sports and children getting actually good at them. I think the powerlifting, like all of the junior and sub-junior world records, would be like leagues and leagues and leagues higher than they are right now, and I think disproportionately to how much better the open world records would be.
Yeah, probably so. Sure.
I think there would be like
Just the average age of starting is so much later.
I think it would be
Sure.
like fucking 2,000 totals at like 198 as like teenagers.
I was gonna say, well, you did a 2,000-pound total at.
No, I'm saying at 198.
Yes,
Yeah, no.
yeah.
I'm saying like, I think it would be fucking crazy how, because it's like if you had like Carlos Nassar doing fucking
Yeah.
powerlifting and like you have a whole system set up around it.
Yeah.
I feel like the junior world records would be fucking insane.
Well, and it would, the cool part is like I am of the belief, right, that we wouldn't like if there was this huge gene pool or there was this huge monetary incentive like the NBA has, I don't think people are like, there's someone that would destroy half the world. I'm not convinced there's someone that would destroy half the world. I think that there would be 10 half-thors pushing each other, right?
and that would probably
It's
lead to a higher level.
much higher level. But I don't know. Like, it's like the same thing as like I don't know if there's someone who's just like I don't know. Maybe there could be, but I don't know like if there's someone that much more inclined than like let's say a Larry Wheels or a John Hack.
Yeah.
There would just be 10 of them pushing each other to not randomly IG clout lift for 5 years.
Yeah, exactly. Where it's
In
like,
the
what-
middle of your prime.
If there was 4 other Larry Wheels and like
But I think
getting
that's
those
part
world
of
records.
part of John Hack's greatness is just that he's wired in a way where he doesn't need competition.
Yeah.
He's perfect. Like I think John Hack is pushing himself and training in basically the same way he would be if there were 3 other John Hacks. You know what I mean? Like I don't think he would be doing much different if there were guys who were like beating him every other time. Right? And I think that's the difference. Whereas
Yeah.
Larry would have to step up his technique. Larry
Yeah.
would have to be a year-round powerlifter.
Yeah.
Larry would have to do a lot of things to keep up with other Larrys who were equally motivated, so that those records would be significantly ahead, right?
Yeah.
Which I think is interesting.
Yeah, I think that would be
Also, fuck. Why is breakdancing in the Olympics?
Ooh.
Anything where you can select your name can't be in the fucking Olympics.
Okay, I watched a little bit of the Olympics breakdancing. I've got some notes for if the Olympic Committee is watching. 1, do not have it at noon. Oh my god, when it was sunny out, it was so much worse. Have it at
Yeah.
night. They did, I think, one of the women's finals at night. Oh my god, it looked so much cooler. 2, oh my god, it was a big thing. The commentators kept mentioning it because I assume the commentators aren't like fucking savants in every sport. They're just dudes who are updated for each section as they're going along.
I thought they would bring in like experts for each sport.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think they have like a commentating team and they rotate
I
out.
saw everybody was complaining about the commentators for weightlifting, just saying everything was either too fast off the floor or just a little forward. It's one of the every missed lift is one of those 2 reasons.
Yeah, it seems like they're not bringing in experts, to my knowledge. I think it's just like they have a team, and the team gets updated for the sport that they're
It's like
commentating
God
on.
bless him, that guy that was always doing commentary for. I don't know if he did the Rogue, but he always did the Arnold. And he just had like you could tell he's got his couple of talking points that he just always the guy who said the Canadians are famous for their grip strength.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, the Canadians do have good grip strength. Like JF writes it into the shows.
Yeah.
He wasn't wrong, but it was very funny. But he would always have like just a couple of points. It's just like, and he would just keep coming back to them. It's like,
Yeah.
who the fuck is this guy?
One of the things the commentators kept mentioning in the Olympic breakdancing was that they don't get to know the song until it's playing right then. And like, it was to judge musicality.
Okay.
Get rid of that. Get rid of that right away. Because a couple of them, I was like, I don't know what he's supposed to do. It was like really like a slow beat. And I was like, you're fucking these dudes. I'd like to give a huge shout out. I don't know how to pronounce the dude's name. I think it's like, it starts with, it's like Shinks or something like that.
Okay.
Japanese breakdancer. Really cool. Just kind of ignore the music and just did a bunch of head spins.
Fuck yeah.
And I was, that's what the
Bass,
score should
let's
be.
go.
Because I kept saying the Australian.
Listen, the new meta is headspin maxing, and no one can tell me otherwise. So shout out to the Australian lady who hit the run, fucking run on her side, didn't know how to breakdance. Caspian, I'm sorry. That was a rough display for your country. That was brutal. If you haven't seen it, your representative in breakdancing was fucking brutal.
Yeah, I think this is definitely, this is coming from someone who doesn't know anything about the culture and history of breakdancing, believe it or not.
I don't know, you got a sick breakdancing clip from when you were like 5.
Yeah, I do.
Iconic, legendary Max footage.
My God. One, they need to really focus on doing head spins. That was the coolest part. Every time someone did it, I was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool." Yeah. I feel like that should get a lot more points. Is like cool moves. Mm-hmm. 2, oh my God, let them pick their own music. 1, I think it would keep it so much more relevant if it was like real songs that people had heard or like a routine that they had pre-planned.
I'm sure that would be a bit of a pain for copyright.
Okay, it doesn't even have to be songs that people know. Just letting them have a pre-planned routine and like, okay, you have to come in with 5.
Why the fuck is this in the Olympics?
I don't know.
What? What the fuck? Also, a new meta has dropped, boys, for getting Max to do large lads. The new meta is not bullying Max. The new meta is kindness messaging. Someone sent Max a very nice message, and it very much motivated him. Everybody's been going with the bullying Max meta, and he's like, "Fuck these guys! I'm not doing large lads."
Some of you guys have been pretty rude. And I was like, I was not gonna do large lads. You
gotta start kindness maxing.
Yeah, someone was like, "Oh yeah, it really helps when I drive to work." And I was like, "Shut up, fuck! I'll go do it with large lads." God damn it.
Kirsten is rubbing off on me brutally. Kirsten has been calling everything maxing or minning recently.
Oh, that's really good.
And it's rubbing off on me where I'm just like, everything. I'm like, yeah, I'm beef maxing right now. Chicken's out.
Dude, I'm rice cooking.
We're chicken right minning, dude. Fucking.
I'm chicken minning.
I'm empathy minning.
Yo, I'm absolutely humility maxing right now. I'm being so kind.
Cool lore drop. Kirsten is going to be leaving her job and is going to be a personal trainer and also a physical therapy aide. She might go to post-grad for physical therapy. Mm-hmm. Kirsten loves school, and she's looking to go to post-grad for something, but she's going to be working at the gym in town. And if she likes shadowing the PTs and helping with that, that might be where the route she goes. If she likes helping with the business, that might be the route she goes. Or if she likes personal training, that'll be kind of fun.
Kirsten could potentially make
real burnt out.
Kirsten could potentially make actually decent YouTube videos of just like, here's how I teach an intermediate how to squat.
Oh Jesus, Kirsten can make much better videos than me. Her videos average more views than mine. I think it's from being a crippling YouTube addict. She like knows how to just like keep the entertainment value slightly higher, whereas my videos suck. I don't know if you told me that there was some guy with 700 videos with 600 bench and hopefully an 880 deadlift soon that's still getting like 2K views, so like failing to crack 2K regularly. Like, this dude blows at YouTube. Holy fuck.
I think also a large part of it is that like you just don't make jokes if you're making a video by yourself.
For sure.
Like, I think you're a pretty funny dude. You just don't make videos or jokes when you're on your own. So it's just like they're really like Khan Academy style lifting videos. I had that one in the back pocket. I thought of that one.
God damn it. Ooh, also kind of cool. You know who's in fucking good shape already? Justin. He's doing the American Pro.
Oh, whoa, shit, hell yeah.
Yeah. He's he just pulled 8:15, and we haven't even started his prep yet. Whoo! Yeah, hook too, no straps.
I was gonna say, I feel like it'd be finally cool to have a shader training member at one of those like big meets.
I know. Yeah, we haven't had anybody go to one of those big untested meets yet.
Yeah, I guess it's like there's not that many people who would like under you.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. Justin is your best powerlifter?
I kind of got like I would say he's kind of in like top 3. You know, like I just think that like you could be tested. That's a big difference. I would say like you, Justin, 2 other guys are kind of in the same pack in my head. You know what I mean?
I feel like the level of powerlifter I like perceive myself as is like almost directly correlated to the last time I did a meet.
Yeah,
Where
for
like,
sure.
if I
And
just
it's
done
been
it,
a hot minute.
yeah, it's been over a year, so I'm just like my meet numbers aren't updated. I don't get to call myself.
I'm not gonna powerlift anymore. I can fucking compete.
I lift weights for fun. I don't do this lame powerlifting shit.
Yeah, no, I'd say I got like a top 3. And I would, in my head, all pretty similar in level. I think if Justin does what he is capable of,
Is it like 2100 2.2?
I mean, mental math is not my strong suit. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, because like, he really wants to squat 8, and I wouldn't put it past him.
Holy shit! Really?
Yes, he's gonna have a top 5 all-time squat at 242.
Fuck.
I think he wants to squat 8. And I believe he's capable.
Okay, Justin's way better than me.
He has to update his meet numbers
Yeah, still. Oh my god.
because his previous best meet outdots you by about 30.
Yeah.
Tested, untested. You're younger.
Yeah.
Probably washes out in my head. Maybe even biasing slightly towards you. Obviously, if he does what he like 800, I want to say like 475 if prep goes good.
That's what I was gonna guess 474. Hell yeah.
Yeah, and then like 850, something like that.
Yeah, that's
He's been kind of overdue for a big deadlift PR.
yeah, that's really fucking elite.
Yeah, really, really, really good. Obviously, then he'll be the best powerlifter I coach for sure.
Yeah.
The problem is he's a huge squatter with a pretty low bar. It nukes his arms. So we do our whole off season on the SSB because to spare his arms so we can work on his weakest lift.
Yeah.
Because he just needs to build up the amount of muscle in his upper body still. Like that's just his bench is behind because his legs are huge and his upper body is less huge. It's pretty cut and dry. Spare the arms. It carries over pretty 1-to-1, but it takes a good 80 pounds off his squat too. So his nervous system is a little bit more fresh when we're training on it. So like a 95% SSB is just less taxing than a 95 straight bar, plus his arms are fresh.
Yeah.
So it's like a lot of guys that don't like the straight SSB off seasons. He just remembers how to squat like that. So it just, there isn't much of a relearning period. He just comes back to the straight bar and is instantly better at it. There's no risk of being better at SSB than straight bar.
Yeah.
So, I really like just pure SSB off seasons for him.
For a guy like Justin who has like a pretty decent arch, and the goal is like to drive bench, are there like specific training accommodations you make to drive like prioritize hypertrophy?
Yeah. We do a lot of incline pressing because he likes pulling into his arch.
I've always like heard you say that like incline is just better for guys that have arch.
I don't think it's one of the ways we can take away that advantage, right? Some guys just love setting to their arch. It's like they just won't flatten out. Like you go feet up and they still just arch real well.
Yeah.
And that's because that's part of the back tightness. So like he does a lot of close grip work to extend his ROM. We do a lot of incline work, lots of dumbbells. He's got one of those cool big standing press machines, which is a good option as well. Obviously doesn't get quite that little stability component, which also Mitch Hooper made a video of like worst exercises for strength.
Okay.
He put dumbbell bench. Like the list wasn't terrible.
Okay.
He said like no strap deadlifting, which he's like, if your goal is general strength, don't be limited by your grip. I'm like, that's not the worst take. Whatever, I don't mind that. It's a very, very strong any take, but whatever.
Yeah.
Didn't hate the list. Like there's some things I'm like, I don't consider that bad. Dumbbell bench was a terrible take. He's just like, it's just unstable. And it's like some amount of instability, like, okay, then stop free squatting.
Yeah.
Do a more stable lift, bro. Get on the leg press. But he says squats are great. It's like, but those are unstable too. And it's not like standing on a Bosu ball where we're so excessively unstable is really limiting the load.
Yeah.
Plus, we can get an extended range of motion, and just I think one deviation less stable has a valuable training effect. And I bench more than him. Is Mitch Hooper a lot stronger than me? Maybe so.
Who benches more?
Listen, who benches more, buddy? Come on now.
What's your will?
Don't tell me what a good bench strength exercise is. Like, they're very popular among benchers, far better than he is. And so it's like, sure, if you're training for strongman, is it the most important thing in the world? Fuck no.
Yeah.
But if you're training to increase your bench, like a lot of people interested in strength training are, I think that was a terrible shout.
Yeah.
And it's logically inconsistent because it's like, okay, well, if we're just more stable environment lets us output more force. Fucking deadlifting the Smith machine. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Like this argument can be taken to like it's the same thing. People like the biomechanics guys are like one of the big criteria for an effective hypertrophy exercise is stability, so that less energy is spent stabilizing, and we can take things to like a true proximity to failure without having to worry about it.
Yeah.
Is that a benefit? Sure, but it's like overemphasized. Where it's like some people will be like, a dumbbell row is not stable enough. It's like, get better at stabilizing yourself.
Yeah.
Like there are things that are too unstable to be really productive.
Well, especially-
that isn't fucking one of them.
Especially if you're like, what are the best exercises for strength? You're not saying.
And he's
but
also like, yeah, well, exactly.
You're not saying for hypertrophy, so it's like if you're for strength, if you're talking about like real world / functional strength, stabilizing is a thing you're going to have to do sometimes. Like,
Yeah, and I don't know. It's just like there's tons of great benchers, especially like super heavyweights kind of shy away from the dumbbell meta because the dumbbells get really big.
Yeah.
But among lighter weight great bench pressers, who's that guy who had the 198 bench record? The dude that was weird horny posting all the time, did the cage. Do you remember that guy? Like unfollowable.
I feel like it's sort of like Jay.
I don't remember, but he did like the cage. Do you remember that guy though?
Yeah.
Bench like 600 at 198, something like that.
Yeah.
He was just like everything was dumbbells all the time.
Yeah, the panache also. If you want to talk about someone who's pretty good at benching for how.
Kim Walford,
Yeah.
big dumbbell bench fan,
I'm always fascinated by people who are doing like 3 RM dumbbells.
or even Sebastian Oreb, right? Like very well respected, big believer in dumbbell pressing as a supplemental movement. And it's just like I don't agree with Mitch on that one. I really don't. You know, like he's been leaning into just like. I respect it. I don't think he's being controversial to be controversial. I think he's like, fuck it. I'm going to say my least popular opinions.
Yeah.
And like, I think it's at least authentic. It's a known fact. I'm not a huge Mitch Hooper fan, but like, you know, he's just doing more controversial stuff, but it's the stuff he genuinely believes. And that's respectable.
Yeah.
That's fine. You know, having the balls to say stuff, that's fine. I just don't agree. You know, I do bench press more, you know what I'm saying?
All right, guys, we're gonna wrap it up there. I thought I'm running out of steam, so please like and comment and subscribe. Maybe a video next week if I'm feeling crazy. If you guys are nice enough for me, release another.
Hey, also, guy I got with the intro. I know you replied to my comment. We're nice. I had already decided I was making that intro. You're welcome. The intros are back.
All right, adios, guys.
I feel like that was a pretty good one.
Yeah, I think I'm glad I cut that off. I could tell. I was like, I'm not